Zoom calls and online classes. So I'm Maddie, and I will be doing the attention, which will basically be a discussion of the introduction and what everyone will be talking about within our presentation. So the year 2020, this year, almost 300 universities had to move to online classes for the rest of the spring semester. So with online classes, there's a lot of difficulties within that, and so our group will be discussing those difficulties, which mainly are Wi-Fi, staying on top of work, and security. And so with security, we mean Zoom, because that is what a lot of universities are doing for their online classes. So Zoom is very similar to FaceTime in aspects of conferencing and video capabilities and sharing of video screens and such. So Zoom is pretty strong candidate. It's better than FaceTime during these times. And so we will be discussing what Zoom is and the aspects of it. And so during this time, UK has been extending a lot of help and access for all of us via Zoom and other top things such as the Presentation U and the study, which is giving us access to paper help and online tutoring through Zoom. And so, but we as University of Kentucky students believe that they should be offering us more access than just Zoom, study, and Presentation U. And so we as University of Kentucky college students, we have been dealing with Zoom since we've been home, so I think we all have a very good experience with it that we can discuss these problems and issues. And so some of those issues may be finding quiet within your house, because right now as I'm doing this presentation, I can hear my brother playing music downstairs. And so finding a quiet space where you can do things like your homework or presentations like this is hard, and it can be difficult and hard to focus. And so another thing would be Wi-Fi connection, which is a big one because you never know what's going to happen. Simply, like, we've had storms here in Ohio and people have lost power for multiple days, and it's like, well, how am I supposed to do my work and submit it if I do not have power? And then another major thing is definitely time zone connections and differences, because there are kids that, let alone are 4 hours in a difference on the other side of the country, but there are kids in Spain, Europe, China, like we have kids on the other side of the world. So what about their time differences, and how are they supposed to get on Zoom calls, or simply even sometimes turn things in online because they gotta figure out how to connect it to their time zone. So as students, we believe that there are a lot of complicated and different situations for each and every student and their families. So we believe that the University of Kentucky should work with families in different time zones and that have different complications, and figure out how they can help them be successful education-wise during this time. And so as for the negatives of Zoom, there is positives to Zoom. It's pretty good. It's a good way to access with your teacher and such and not feel uncomfortable, because sometimes the FaceTime can be too personal because it's on our devices, like it's Apple FaceTime versus like a Zoom call. It feels a little bit less personal. And so there are negatives to Zoom and security, and it could shut down at any time, and you never know because everyone's using it, so it could just crash at one point. And so we think that UK has a lot of resources for us when we're on campus, but there isn't as many for online, which is us during this time, which they could be working on it, because this is an unpredictable situation that we are all in. And so for our presentation, I have just discussed the attention, and then Sophia will be doing the need, which will introduce all the problems, and she'll do also then leeway into the satisfaction, which will discuss how to fix these problems. Alexis will have the visualization, which will then also talk about what we can do to fix these problems in a more insighted way of what these problems are, Claire will pretty much finish up with the action, which is what we as college students can do. And then me and Sophia will have the share of the digital project, and I will finish up with our conclusion.